first and foremost, when you first met Justin, prior to working with him, like what was the, like, did you get a lot of help before? What was kind of like your experience prior to Justin? Were you getting a bunch of things like getting done on you? You hired other people? Like what was your history and background prior to like working with Justin?
Bunch of different people I saw, numerous MDs, naturopaths,
Okay.
another person that's maybe, I don't know what I would call her, maybe a nutrition type person.
Okay. Okay.
Most of the things were no help whatsoever. And I did, do a lot of Googling, bought a lot of books, bought a lot of programs. I mean, I tried everything that anybody on the internet said they had tried or done,
Yeah.
thousands of dollars, literally. I
Mm,
thought there was going to be one magic thing that would just fix it. And if I just found
mm,
that, then I would be okay. And
mm.
obviously, that is not at all how it needed to go.
100%.
Random people that I know, like those, friends from high school on Facebook or whatever that, they still just want to go to the MD and just say that I'm going to do what he says. And even though they don't feel any better and they just take more pills and
Mm.
they're still not ever getting well. I think
Okay.
there's still a lot of people that think they can just go to their MD and get a pill and it's going to be fixed. And if it's
Yeah.
not, then they just have to live with it. As healthy as I thought that I was, that maybe there's been things all along that weren't quite as healthy. And then obviously like mentally healthy,
Mm.
not even wasn't even at all,
Yeah.
but I was able to cover that up. But then
Huh.
when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, it was like just a few months after my dad passed away from cancer. I had
Ah.
4 kids. I've always homeschooled, so there's, while we love that, it's still there's that stress.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like a
I
lot
think
of stress.
60 or 70 hours a week. It was just the normal stresses, but then my dad dying was like we had like four close family members die and his was kind of like the final straw in a way. So it all
Mm.
kind of led up to this perfect storm and the emotion of it all. Then I realized how unhealthy I was for that part of it.
Mm.
And like I said, this is hindsight 2020. At the time, I didn't know that this is what was going on.
You probably developed a measure of skepticism with, here's what really it is. Like when you met,
One
like
thousand,
here's
yeah,
here's what I'm saying. Like here's the,
1,000%,
you know what I'm
1,000%.
saying? Like here, you need to do 2 chiropractic adjustments, and that's actually the source of your autoimmunity issues. And
Right.
tried this and that, and it didn't work, or worked partially, or it flopped completely. you know that obviously leaves a stain of obviously disappointment, frustration, and a little bit of skepticism. Why the hell did you pull the trigger with Justin? Like honestly, what, like no, for real, like
I
what
know.
was it? What was there something in you that when you guys were talking on that in the phone conversation, that something that he said that kind of sparked something in you that was like, aha? Was it like in your mental frame, you just were thinking about your kids and you were like, I have to figure it out. Like, if I don't,
Kind of feeling sorry for myself, honestly. I guess just like, what am I doing? How come I don't feel better? I was feeling worse and worse. And honestly, I think I just kind of felt like I had like one last hope in a way, like this was my last straw in a way. And so then I did it, and I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've never told Justin 'cause it doesn't matter, but I mean, I definitely had some like buyer's remorse after I sent in all the paperwork because it was a lot of money. And I'm just like, oh my word, my husband's going to kill me. What if I just wasted another thousands of dollars trying to get well? And I'm not ever going to be well. It's like I just was so hesitant, and it wasn't Justin personally because at that point we hadn't spoken all that much, but
mm,
because I had so many things that like, oh, this is going to be it, and then it didn't work, and oh, this is going to be it, and it didn't work, and so for me it was just finally getting back into a point of I can't keep feeling like this because I mean at this point I still have 2 kids at home and they're not getting the best of me. Like I feel bad because I feel like my older 2 kids got a lot more fun childhood because I was healthier, and
mm.
so yeah, I think I was just kind of felt backed into a corner by myself and thought, well, this is one thing, what he says makes sense to me, makes sense to how I'm feeling, and so maybe this is the one thing that's going to make sense to make me well.
Tell me a little bit about that. You felt Justin felt like he was listening. Is that kind of the right
Yeah,
terminology?
I
Was
felt
that
like that he listened, and the girl that kind of helped me set up, I guess, the process and the payments and whatnot, like she listened to me for a long time, just let me like tell the whole story and was very understanding. And Yeah, I just felt very listened to, I guess, and that I wasn't crazy for feeling all these things when on paper I had done everything that experts supposedly say you should do. I should be feeling better. I
Totally.
knew there had to be something out there. I just had to find what that was. And unfortunately, it was like 7 years before I found it, but I did. So that's okay.
What would you say probably is the biggest thing, or the biggest 1 to 3 things that you got and you took away that was pretty significantly different or unique versus what you were told or taught before?
First, the biggest thing probably is that, we didn't order tons of supplements or tons of medicines or, this super rigid, like, you can only eat these 6 things for the next 6 weeks and then let's see how you feel kind of thing. We didn't do any of that kind of stuff. And, you know, which was good because I mean, been there, done that. And so at that point, nothing had really helped for the long term. And so there's so much embedded, that you don't realize that you need to get out, that you need to talk through, and you just need somebody to listen and understand and think that, you're not crazy for, traumas that might be years and years old or for, symptoms that,
Mm,
doctors are like, no, that has nothing to do with it. And you're like, I know it has something to do with Hashimoto's. I know it does.
mm,
And, you know, and I mean, I don't think he's ever said no, that doesn't make sense. He might have thought it, but he's never made me feel that way, that
mm,
like, that can't be because one thing when you are searching and searching, I mean, your body and I mean, I just know, that these certain things are Hashimoto's. I don't care if it's on a list on Google or not. I know it's from this. And so
mm,
he listened to all that. I felt like that he really knew what was wrong with me and what I needed. And it wasn't just, okay, oh, you have this. This is what I give all my patients with these supplements because it's not going to be the same for everybody at
yeah,
all.
100%.
And yeah, and for the first time, I mean, I've lost like 22 pounds now. And
Nice.
it's not even so much about the weight, except that it is depressing whenever you can't just go eat salad for a week and lose a couple of pounds like you could a long time ago. Plus, I'm old, but still, I know it's just because it's finally all clicking together.
What was it that pushed you to endure after feeling all of these different emotions of skepticism and this, even after making the investment? Like, what was that?
I felt like I'd kind of turned into a victim a little bit, like feeling, woe is me kind of thing. And I hated that about myself. So I
Hmm.
didn't want to be like that. And so I felt like there had to be, I knew that there was a better way. I grew up with, a mom that always had stuff wrong with her and I felt like never tried to take care of herself. And so that was a big, I guess, like motivating factor to me because I didn't like that. And I mean, and I have issues with my mom. So that's where that comes from, but it, I didn't respect that, and I'm like, I'm not going to be like that. My kids, I mean, we've sacrificed for me to be able to stay home with my kids for the most part and to raise my kids. That was a big deal to me. That was really important to me. I know that's not the cool thing to do anymore, but that means a lot to me that I've been there to raise my kids. But you can't do that if, you feel like crap all the time. You can't do that if you're laying in bed because you have another migraine, or you can't do that. You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't being the best for my kids, and I wanted to be an example for them, opposite of what I felt like the example I had with my mom of how if you take care of yourself and the body that you were given, that you're going to feel better and that you're going to do better and you're going to be able to think and be happy and have fun and, all those kind of things. I mean, that's always been real important to me. And I've always believed in that. You know what I mean? Like I've always believed in that you don't have to just take a bunch of pills to feel better and then have a bunch of side effects that you have to take a bunch more pills for. And again, that's kind of my soapbox, and that's just where I come from. That's where my thinking was.
Is there anything else that you could name that would be like, these are characteristics in how he communicated and how he delivered as a mentor that made me trust him more than anybody? Because again, I always say, like, psychologically, the fact that you spent maybe tens of thousands of dollars on other solutions that didn't work and still made the decision to move forward with Justin, even with the fact that you still had skepticism after and still pushed forward, there's something psychologically happening within yourself. So what was that? Like, what were the attributes that made him as a coach attractive to you, that you were like, I'm sticking with this. I'm sticking through with this.
I needed somebody that was going to be straightforward, if that makes sense. I don't know how that makes me sound or how that, but I don't know how to explain it otherwise. But then, like, the more I talked to him, I mean, he is very caring and empathetic. And when we would talk, it wouldn't take him a minute to come back with like exactly what I felt like he needed to tell me, which I guess is just, a reflection on how intelligent he is because I'm just like, well, how did you already, do you, because me, I would have to have like a notebook in front of me. I'd be like, oh, just a minute, let me look that up and what I need to tell you. But I think what surprised me, at least once we started talking more, is he is very patient and very kind. And I'm not saying he doesn't come across as kind, but I think some people could mistake
Yeah.
this is how it is for not being kind. But he
Mm,
is very patient and kind. And so you combine all those together and it just clicked with what I need, I guess, and what I needed to hold me accountable, but yet make me feel like that I could be open and share. I mean, he probably knows more or at least as much as a therapist that I have that I went to for 4 years, because I knew I felt like I could trust him, I guess. I felt like I needed to tell him exactly how I felt, either mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever,
yeah.
because he was going to tell me how to make it better. And he always did. And that, and yeah, it took some time. Like I said at the beginning, I was having buyer's remorse. And then we got into a groove and it was fine.